Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Shadidi Laser, just taking a moment to look at my previous scope. Thank you for joining me. Key for Thank you for joining me. Now, we're going to talk about the of practice, and how it can affect you in multiple ways, whether it's your business, whether it's your brand, whether you're trying to compete for the world championships. No matter what you're doing, practice and daily mastery is one of the four tenets, or pillars of success. First of all, those of you who follow NBA basketball know about Allen Iverson and his infamous rant about practice. We're talking about practice. I'm the league MVP, and we're talking about practice. Now, what he's saying is that when it comes time for competition, he has the practice aspect mastered. Maybe he goes at at a lower gear for. Let me take a sip here. Or importance of face-to-face communication. So meetup.com. Search for the group relevant to your topic. So as I mentioned, take a moment there. All apologies. Don't want to choke to get on the broadcast. But Allen Iverson mentioned that he's a master at turning on the switch, turning the dial to competition mode, and getting the most out of his potential in his body. And maybe in practice, he tones it down a certain level. But when it comes to the greats, using NBA analogy, since the playoffs are going on right now, the Michael Jordans, the Kobes were legendary for bringing game-like intensity to practice scenarios. So in terms, you're not a Kobe. If you're watching this, you may be talented in your own right, but you may not be a once-in-a-generation talent such as a Kobe or LeBron. But you have to extract that winner or championship DNA from yourself in order to ensure that the best version of yourself exists. So I'm going to use some martial arts analogies. Right now, I'm training for the Virginia Open in early June, first weekend of June. Then I'm going to be competing at the Abu Dhabi Combat Club U.S. Nationals. So when the initials ADCC come up, it attracts killers, ladies and gentlemen, that are checking in on this broadcast. And the thing is, if you ask me, where do I fit in within that lineup of killers? I don't know where I fit in. But on June 11th, I'll be there in the building, and we're going to find out where I fit in. So in order to get there, it takes practice. So I'm going to take some tips and share those with you in terms of practice that you need to do in order to exceed or succeed at the highest level or the highest version of yourself in terms of your business, your side projects, your hobbies, your lifestyle, the way you approach life. Because if you have that championship mindset and approach it with practice, you can succeed. Now, the big misconception is that you can reach your goal of the best version of yourself by being Instagram famous or a Twitter celebrity or have an amazing story on Snapchat. No. You have to put in the work. WORK. Work is the secret sauce, ladies and gentlemen, to developing substance. Now, when we look at overnight successes, when we looked at LeBron when he was in high school and he was on ESPN and so on and so forth, we thought he was an overnight success. Who is this kid? He's a teenager. And all of a sudden, he's in the limelight. What we miss out on is the 15 plus years that he's been playing basketball, honing his craft, putting in the time in order to get to the position where he has that notoriety as a star. So it's important for you to understand that there are no shortcuts to success. If you want to succeed via social media or you want to build your own side project, you have to know what you're doing. If you want to open up a restaurant, for example, if you've never been a waiter or a waitress, you have to put in that time, invest, and learn the ins and outs of the business or the craft or the venture that you're looking to conquer and crush. There is no substitute for that. I've helped thousands of people build their brands and their businesses and large corporations, increase their bottom line, but you have to establish yourself first. You have to build that credibility so that it looks easy to the consumer or the person that you have as a subscriber or a supporter or a sponsor. So you have to put in the work. And the biggest misconception in today's digital era is that if you establish a profile that you will succeed. No, 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 no. The people who succeed put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort, the sweat equity, the sweat capital, and build from the ground up and let their platform speak for themselves over time. Does that make sense? So, in terms of the type of practice that you need to utilize, number one is drilling or repetition. So, every day, whether it's your affirmations or your mantras or your business practices, whatever you're attempting to do, whether it's athletics, whether it's a hobby, whether it's fantasy football or being the best poker player or building a Rita's franchise, you have to put in the work daily. And my main strategy, if you are an individual who is working a full-time job, maybe you have two jobs, maybe you have student loans, maybe you take full-time classes, doesn't matter. Focus on your one big thing to complete each and every day. If you can complete your one big thing every day, that gives you the momentum to go into the next day and complete more and more. Does this make sense? Now, for those of us who maybe have a little bit more skin in the game, maybe full-time entrepreneurs, I need you to do a little bit more and devote hours of your time. We all have our waking hours where we go to work somewhere, whether you work from home, whether you have clients, whether you live the laptop lifestyle, or you're chained to a desk each and every day. I want you to come home, say hi to the family, eat dinner, walk your dog, and then go to town. Get to work, whether it's from 10 to 3 a.m., 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., or from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., put in the time, complete your task, start with your one big thing first, and then go into subsequent tasks from there. You have to put in the time. There is no substitute for that. So drilling and mastery, daily mastery each day is very important. The second thing is theory. You have to, in order to shorten the learning curve, because we all have to go through the path from start to finish in terms of where we want to be in life. It has to be a genesis or an origin going on to the finish or the climax. So you have to embrace the process. So in order to shorten that learning curve, you have to surround yourself with winners, with people who are masters in your given area of relevancy. So in terms of the theory, YouTube is the greatest invention in the world in terms of daily mastery. You can put yourself in the company of masters through video all throughout the day. So be very diligent, disciplined, and persistent in knowledge acquisition. Surround yourself with the very best. I advise you to get off the online components, or don't rely on that solely. Use meetup.com as a starting point to get in person, shake hands, discuss your mission with people who are like-minded, and Meetup is a great example of that. I highly suggest that you search for the terms that are relevant to your organization or your given skill sets or expertise. Search within a 50-mile radius and let the magic happen. Get online, commit to meeting people in person. That's very important. And the third type of practice is sparring, competition. Now, if you're not a fighter, I understand. But there are different forms of competition for each and every field. Public speaking being one, podcasting being another. So put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable, where the butterflies are flowing, where you feel like you have to put forth your best effort, or you're not sure where you've put forth your best effort. If you put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable, that is the breeding ground for mastery. Again, I'll say that again. If you put yourself in situations and scenarios where you are uncomfortable, unsure, have to measure yourself against an established standard or against other established standards of measurement, it will force you to up your game so that you can reach the next level. Nikki, baby, thank you for joining. We are talking about practice. Practice in the art of mastery is something that I focus on each and every day of my life, of my existence. I want you to take a look at that photo in the back. That's from a underwater Polaroid camera, and somehow it's a selfie. Somebody's taking a picture of me while I'm holding a camera. Kind of interesting. But anyway, thank you for joining into the broadcast. So we're talking about sparring and competition. I'm using martial arts analogy. I'm in the middle of a training camp, getting ready for 3 big tournaments, one being the U.S. Nationals, and how you can use practice in terms of your business, your brand, your side project, your big idea, your life, your lifestyle, and the importance that practice plays, daily mastery plays within your skill set development. You have to put in the time. There is no substitute. Being Instagram famous, even the Kim Kardashians of the world, if you don't put in the work yourself, then you'll have to borrow heat or energy from somebody who's more established. I don't want you guys to go down that path, so I highly recommend that you put in the time, the energy, and effort. What makes you wake up each day? What would you do for free? Thank you for joining. What is your passion? And you tap into that and you do that every day. The question I get all the time, I have multiple jobs. I have kids. I have bills. I have responsibilities. I don't have time to do that. I don't have the knowledge to do this. The internet is so new. It's so scary. Forget all of that. Focus on the time that we all have. We all have our waking hours where we're up and we're working, but there's that dead time where we could be sleeping or we have some insomnia. It could be 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. for you. It could be 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. for you. But put in time each evening to sharpen your blade, to practice, to work on your craft. And when I mentioned the competition or the sparring aspect, I use the analogy of public speaking. I use the analogy of live podcasting, of doing Periscope broadcasts or Facebook Live, or just holding up your smartphone and recording videos or content that give direct value to your target audience. The idea of being uncomfortable in scenarios makes you a master over time because you're testing yourself against unknown elements. Me delivering this Periscope broadcast, there's some nervousness, there's some uncertainty about what I'm going to do, but I know over time that if I play the long game, I'm sure to succeed because my heart's in the right place. I believe in what I deliver. I've put in the work in building businesses and delivering value to my clients, to my audience, to my supporters, to my sponsors. So luck is on my side. Time is on my side. And if you take the same approach in putting in the work and building